Hope you're ready for some hazing because we're pledging Alpha Sigma Rho in today's movie. I hear the initiation is a real killer. Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're tackling Tom DeSimone's murderous mutant flick, Hell Night. Released in 1981, Hell Night finds Linda Blair and some frat pledges locked inside a haunted mansion for some good old-fashioned hazing.
In order to be a member of Alpha Sigma Rho, one has to do what? Mr. Reed?
To stay in Garth Manor one night.
Unfortunately for them, the legends about the place are true, and soon they're in a fight for survival against an unseen killer. Will they live to see daylight? Will they pass the initiation? Is Hell Night splattery? Let's get to the gore and find out. We fade in on this blood-curdling scream and a wet t-shirt contest. Hooray for starting in media res, I guess. And we've got an Irwin Yablon sighting. Yablon's was one of the key forces behind the creation of John Carpenter's Halloween. Oh, and here's Linda Blair. I'll be honest, I've always felt sort of bad for Linda Blair. You start your career with The Exorcist, and it's pretty much all downhill from there. When I say Vincent Van, you probably think, Van Gogh? But sorry, you're stuck with Van Patten in this movie. Clearly this was all filmed before the pandemic because these people are wasting a whole lot of toilet paper. And then we open with this scintillating dialogue.
I'm Peter Bennett, president of Alpha Sigma Rho. Are you one of our sorority sisters?
Who do you think I am, fairy godmother?
Peter here is clearly an aspiring pickup artist, but his peacocking skills might need some work. Of course, he's then immediately distracted by Linda Blair. She's a cute little devil.
Hey, who's she?
And over here, Robin Hood is stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, namely broke college students. After some jibber-jabber, it's time to get this party started for real. Grab your torches and pitchforks, we're storming Frankenstein's castle. Eventually, they arrive at this gate. And this must be a really boring college town because there's a lot of hooting and hollering over a gate. And now that we're here, this seems like a good time as any for some exposition.
And why is this night so special? Miss Dunsmore.
Because 12 years ago, Raymond Garth murdered his family here and then committed suicide.
Also, I think this dude should have come to the costume party as a young Michael Landon in Little House on the Prairie. Then we get even more plot.
12 years ago, he assembled the entire family in the parlor. And then he took his dear wife, Lillian, and he strangled her to death.
Well, that's cheery. I totally get why you'd want to have the initiation here. Guess the haunted church where the satanic nuns murdered those kids was probably already booked.
I hope you didn't bring any other intoxicants in here with you.
Oh, of course not.
Well, just to make sure, I'll have to personally search you before we leave.
Man, Peter's like a walking sexual harassment lawsuit waiting to happen. And he's also a walking exposition device.
Then he took the Mongoloid son, Morris, and he bashed out what little brains he had with the fireplace poker.
Alright, man, we get it. This place is evil. No need to oversell it. These costumes seem a bit on the nose. We've got barely dressed flapper on the left and chaste maiden on the right. Has to be a coincidence, right? I guess the good news for Peter is that if the whole college thing doesn't work out, he's got a bright future ahead of him as a Halloween Horror Nights tour guide.
Then he took the deformed little Suzanne and he impaled her with the same poker.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. How about a little show don't tell here? I want to see these deaths, not hear about them. This show is called Sick Flicks, not Sick Narration. God, is he still talking? Christ, this is a lot of setup. Look, this is a slasher movie where kids are going to get stalked by a mutant killer, not Finnegan's Wake. They head inside, and I'd like to point out that it's really convenient that someone has already lit the candles inside the abandoned house they had to break through a locked gate to get to. And after some more ground rules, everyone leaves except Linda Blair and her band of merry pledges. That's only 4 people. I'm a little worried about the body count in Hell Night right now.
Wow, this place is pretty radical.
Ah, the 80s, when people said things like radical with no hint of irony. Yeah, man, it's totally tubular. They head back inside and Flapper Chick is ready to party.
Quaaludes
Looky here.
and Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Ludes and Jack? It's like you're basically just asking to be slaughtered by some mutant monster. Why not just have sex while you're at it and complete the slasher film trifecta?
And music.
Oh my god, man, her boobs play music.
This is one radical chick.
Also, that's your second radical in this movie. Those two head upstairs, presumably so Robin can re-quiver his arrow, which leaves us with Linda Blair and Pa Ingalls. I'm sure this'll be thrilling.
So you live around here?
Yeah, around here.
Well, where around here?
Oh, little house on the prairie. You've probably never been there.
Oh, so you're rich.
You say that like it was a disease.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting.
Figures are radical. Probably majoring in political science with an emphasis on terrorism.
No, sorry, women's studies with a minor in third-wave feminism.
My father owns a garage, and I worked in it all through high school.
Back upstairs, Robin's doing his best Hawkeye impression. Clearly, he needs to work on his aim. Totally missed the bullseye.
Is that all you're interested in, sex?
What are you talking about?
I mean, don't you do anything but drink and screw?
Wait, you mean there are other things to do besides drink and screw?
I'm riding my most radical stick, an 18-inch pinner gun.
18 inches, my goodness.
Oh, well, now she's suddenly interested. That's like 2 John Holmeses.
I turn around, 2, 3 strokes, and I'm dropping in.
2 or 3 strokes, that didn't take long.
Wait a minute, I don't think she's talking about surfing at all.
I throw the most radical bottom turn, straight up the face.
And there's your third radical if you're keeping score at home. Back outside, Peter and his pals are skulking around with plans to scare the pledges.
All right, now, you guys go on up to the north side and set things up. I'll go the other way. And keep out of sight.
The good news here is our potential body count just grew significantly. Back inside, Linda Blair's like, why didn't my career take off after The Exorcist? Back outside, it's time for some more exposition.
What the hell is this hole?
There's all sorts of secret rooms and tunnels running underneath there. And there's a bunch of these vents all around the outer wall.
Huh, wonder if that's going to be important later. Back inside, everyone's off to investigate this blood-curdling scream.
Came from upstairs.
Maybe Robin Hood finally scored.
Wait a second. If you weren't screaming, and we weren't screaming, somebody's trying to mindfuck us.
Or maybe it's one of those evil Garths that still haunt the mansion.
It's coming from the 3rd floor.
They go to investigate, and since these are college folk, they quickly figure out this is all just a prank.
Here it is.
Where?
I ran this wire in through the roof.
Undaunted, Peter moves on to phase 2. But first, it's time for some casual misogyny.
We should have left her behind. Why? Her behind is the best part. We should have kept her behind and left the rest of her.
Yeah, HR's gonna have a field day with this dude when he hits the workforce. Also, we're almost 30 minutes into Hell Night. Is it too much to ask for some gore? This girl creeping around looks promising. She wanders right into a jump scare. Then she wanders right into a real scare as this mutant hand drags her down into one of those tunnels we heard about earlier. Say what you will, but she really lost her head over this. Back inside, the boys head off to investigate some strange noises, and Linda Blair is visited by the ghost of Christmas past.
Oh, cute guys. Terrific.
You'd think she might have learned how to exorcise ghostly spirits given her childhood, but guess not. Up on the roof, Jimmy Buffett's hard at work on the next scare, but he's not alone. And really, it's hard to tell who's the bigger dummy in this scene. He investigates and then does his best Linda Blair impression. Unfortunately, he can only do a 180, not a 360. Back inside, it's bedtime and Jeff's ready to make his move, but he gets shut down.
Wrong bet.
Hey, remember Robin Hood and Maid Quaalude? Yeah, they're still in this movie. She's awoken by a knock at the door. Probably just Avon. Well, better put my heels on. I wouldn't want to answer the door in just my garter belt and bra. That would be indecent. This never really pays off, so we jump back out to Peter, who's up on the roof like he's good Saint Nick. Well, up here, Peter trips over the dummy. Smooth move, Princess Grace. See you next fall. Back on his feet, he decides to do a little roof fishing, and he's got a big one on the line. Look, he caught a Scot. Guess he was under the limit, so he had to toss him back. He makes a break for the gate, but before he can get out, Mutant Blackjack Mulligan slaps the claw on him. Peter breaks free and flees into the hedge maze. What, are we at the Overlook Hotel now? After some cat and mouse, he runs right into the mutant. Hey, try this one on. I hear it's one size fits all. Back inside, Linda Blair can't sleep. Did I ever tell you about the time where I was possessed by Satan? Man, that was crazy.
You know, I saw an elf once.
Yeah, cool story, Jeff. So, apparently the key to Linda Blair's heart is just telling her you saw an elf once. Forget all your fancy pickup lines, just tell her you saw Ernie Elf in the cookie aisle once and you're in. Over in the other room, Seth and the flapper chick are taking a roll in the sheets. Looks like he found the perfect wave for re-entry, but there's a Barney here watching from the shadows. Okay, I think that's all the surfing slang I know. Seth heads off to drain the lizard and the Barney's about to cut in. Hey man, this isn't a party wave. Okay, now I'm completely out of surfing jokes. Seth heads back. Hey babe, just dropped a radical load in there. Probably want to let it air out for an hour or two. He gets back into bed and is like, wake up sleepyhead, but I'm guessing she's down for the count. They all run for the gate where Seth tries to terminate the lock with extreme prejudice. If you guessed the gun was loaded with blanks, give yourself a screenwriter's credit.
Blanks! Those bastards!
Seth's gonna climb the gate and get help, but those spikes at the top are too sharp. Whoa, that's definitely not radical. He's not a quitter though, and he does eventually make it over, leaving Linda Blair and Jeff trapped inside.
Seth, hurry!
I will, darling, I will!
Rather than hang out at the gate, they head back inside to find the missing flapper girl. Because sure, what could go wrong? Oh, and we get some music that sounds an awful lot like John Carpenter's music from Halloween. I'm sure Erwin Yablon's just borrowed it. I gotta say, for a movie that's 100 minutes long, Hell Night sure does waste a ton of time where nothing much happens. Yeah, we're still creeping around through the house. Eventually, they find Scott. He's like, don't mind me, I'm just hanging out. Back at Garth Manor, Jeff and Linda Blair are making the always wise decision to split up.
Jeff, don't go!
Marty, just stay here.
Have these people never seen a slasher movie before? The good news is, now Jeff's got a pitchfork and he's creeping around like old MacDonald in the hedge maze. Oh my god, please let something happen already. I'm a patient man, but Hell Night is slow even by 1981 standards. Christ, can we move this along? Eventually, my prayers are answered when Jeff finds Peter out here fertilizing the hedges. Hey man, it's Scythe to see you again. Jeff grabs the flashlight and flees. Too bad he left the gate key behind. Nice work, Jeff. Over in our other movie, Seth finally makes it to police HQ. The cops aren't particularly interested in his claims there's been a murder.
There's been a murder!
Sam, can you handle this properly? What fraternity are you with?
Officer Comover's like, yeah, murder schmurder. Hey, wait, aren't you that guy who's been stealing from the rich and giving to the poor? With the police totally useless, Seth has to take the law into his own hands. Nice that they just left all these guns out in the open and totally unattended. Whoa, these are way nicer than my bow. Radical. Also, how's he gonna sneak a shotgun out of there? Oh hey son, is that a shotgun in your pants or are you just happy to see me? And then he climbs out the window. This might be the worst run police station in all of America. Back at the mansion, Linda Blair and Jeff are holed up in their room. But don't look now, there's something creeping up on them. Don't worry though, Jeff's like, fork you buddy, and bails whatever it is like it's hay. Then they pull the blanket aside and nothing's there but a hole in the floor. Great job, Jeff, you ruined our only comforter. The smart thing to do here would be to seal the hole in the floor, but Jeff's not bright and he's got a taste for blood.
And he's down there someplace. I'm going after him.
At least this time they're not splitting up, I guess. If you were just thinking to yourself, man, you know what this movie needs? Another endless segment of these people creeping around. Well, guess what? You're in luck. Honestly, if you took out all the creeping around filler scenes, you could shorten Hell Night by a good 20 minutes easy. Eventually, they wind up in these subterranean caverns, which are actually just two corridors repeatedly filmed from different angles. Crafty. After some more creeping, they find a light and follow it to this conveniently placed dining room. This is a very posh eating establishment. Everyone's dying to get a reservation. They're about to dip out, but they run into George, the animal Steel. Oh wait, it's just a Garth mutant. They flee, but he's like, I just want to party on. Eventually, Jeff and the monster square off, and they go off the top of the stairs. For years, there's been a story that claims actor Peter Barton really hurt his leg doing this stunt, and his limp for the rest of the movie is real. But Barton has said in interviews that this is not accurate. Anyway, they find this conveniently placed passage and escape. And over in our other movie, Seth's now a carjacker.
What do you want?
I want your car.
Get out!
Oh man, you might be taking this Robin Hood thing a little too seriously. He hightails it back through Sherwood Forest, and then it's time for more creeping around. Because if there's one thing this movie needed, it was more skulking about in the shadows. Of course, Seth eventually just skulks right into the monster's path, and they tussle until Seth blasts him with the shotty. Man, stealing guns, carjacking, murder, Seth's really running up a rap sheet tonight. Guessing he's getting kicked out of college after this crime spree. Anyway, with the killer dead, that means the movie's over, right? Have you guys ever seen a slasher movie before? The mutant pops up for one last hurrah and gets wasted like this is GTA 5. Seth's like radical. He heads inside for what's sure to be a happy ending. Except surprise, there's not just one mutant.
I killed him out by the pond. You should have seen him, man. He was like an animal.
Seth's dead, but there's still time for another extended scene of Linda Blair creeping down the stairs to get the shotgun. Because of course there is. And just as she's about to get the gun, here comes the mutant. They hole up back in the room, but the mutant's like, here's Johnny, and smashes through the door like his name is Jack Nicholson. Linda Blair escapes out the window while Jeff gets tossed to his death. He might have believed he could fly, but clearly gravity didn't agree. Linda Blair makes it back to the ground, but the mutant's still coming. Eventually, she finds Peter's corpse, and unlike Jeff, she actually takes the keys. And she gets out the gate and has the foresight to actually lock it behind her before getting into the car. But of course, the car isn't going to start. Stop, you're gonna flood it. And if you guessed this was where that throwaway line about her working in her dad's garage as a mechanic was gonna come into play, give yourself another screenwriter's credit. And she speeds off into the night, and right into one last jump scare. Hey, mind if I hitch a ride into town? The mutant's not taking no for an answer, but eventually she makes her point. She comes to the next morning and does the final girl walk back towards civilization. I wonder if this means I made it into the sorority. Hell Night was not a particularly well-received movie back in 1981, which isn't surprising, but it has garnered a cult reputation in the years since. It doesn't do anything all that original, even by 1981 standards, and its pace can best be described as languid, but it does offer up a few good kills. So, how many barf bags will Hell Night earn? Let's go to the gore card. In terms of gross anatomy, Hell Night mostly delivers. We're treated to a decapitation, a hanging, death by scythe, death by gravity, a shotgunning, and one impalement. The deaths aren't particularly graphic, but there's just enough here to earn Hell Night a 3 barf bag rating. Barely. This could have been a lot sicker flick. Looking for a gorier, goofier film from 1981? Then check out my review of Evil Speak. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.